Hours, yes. Well, and then whatever. That's how I've been doing it. That's true. Okay, my friends, please take a drink of water if you'd like. Welcome, everybody. I don't want to be anticlimactic, anticlimatic, right? No, because we still have a few more classes to go, and they're very good classes that you'll enjoy. But tonight's class, from all of the classes, you're going to enjoy the most. Yossi is really something very special. He's a good friend of mine and a good friend of CHYE for close to 10 years now, right? Remember 10 years ago, breakfast, that bunch of bagels? We still do learning with guys in businesses. Not as much as we need to be, but we still do it. But anyway, Yossi he's been our number one presenter and mentor here at CHYE. I go through we've done probably like 100 events since I am recording this. And Yossi probably did 20 of them. He's first of all, very well spoken. And second of all, he's very knowledgeable about the world of business. And he's out there running a successful business, and he's in the world of marketing, which everybody, everyone wants to know about marketing. So it's a high demand. And so he could tell you, part of the job is to tell your journey anyway for a few minutes. So you could tell, he years ago, he was afraid to stand in public and speak, and he transformed himself, reinvented himself. And but anyway, you're going to enjoy tonight's classes. Again, we're doing some basic concepts to give you guys some good knowledge is power. Tonight's class is the marketing class. It's going to talk about basic stuff in marketing. How you make a marketing campaign, how you pick your targets, how you write the right message. A lot of the basic stuff. You're in good hands. The floor is yours. For those of you that are, if anyone's going to join in this week, I don't see anyone on as attending. So Yossi made a point. He likes to walk around. It's recording audio. So when I share it, you're just going to hear him speaking. There's not going to be any video. All right. Anyway, Yossi, the floor is yours.
Grab a round of applause. Awesome. Thank you, guys. So first of all, if you don't have a pen and a paper, now would be a really great time to grab one. There are pads in the back. And the reason I'm telling you to take a pen and a paper is because you're going to want to write notes. And sometimes you might not be able to do it on your phone fast enough. So just have a pen and a paper in case. And later you can transfer it to your phone after. There's something about writing with a pen and a paper that's a little bit different than typing on your phone. Kind of like works with your memory and with your mind. So get one down. Even if you just hold a pen and a paper and you write down a word, sometimes it helps you remember, helps you retain. So if you don't have one, grab one. There's a bunch of pads over there. And there probably should be a couple pens there as well. So who has heard me speak before? Anybody here? Raise your hand if you heard me speak. Okay, so you're all fresh. So my name is Joe Apfelbaum. The name of my company is called Ajax Union. Anybody heard of the company before? Heard of me? Heard of the company? Okay. So we have a marketing agency, been around for 12 years. And when I started the company, to tell you the truth, I didn't really know anything about business. I started a marketing agency, and I didn't really know much about business. I knew about marketing a little bit. I knew about something called SEO. Anybody know what that stands for? Very good. Search engine optimization. Excellent. So does anyone know what that even means? What does it mean?
It's figuring out the algorithms and positioning yourself higher in the search results.
Right. And a lot of times business owners, kind of like, as everyone here, raise your hand if you're a business owner, or if you'd like to be a business owner. Okay, awesome. So if you're a business owner, you'd like to be a business owner, you need to know what these terms mean. And a lot of business owners that I speak to, and I spoke to tens of thousands of business owners over the past 12 years, I've serviced over 1,100. So you can imagine how many people we've been around the block. Most of them don't even know what SEO is. They think they know, and they shake their head yes. But when I talk to them, they're like, I wrote the book on SEO. And I'm like, so explain to me what it is. Like, it's like this social media thing where you advertise and I'm like, you don't even know what you're talking about. And we have a conversation and I educate them around what is search engine optimization, how does it work? But that's not the point of this conversation. SEO is a tactic. It's something that you do to gain traffic. It's one of the many, many tactics that fall into the category of marketing. But a big mistake that I made when I started my business is that I didn't really understand business. There's a difference between marketing and business. You need to understand business, but you also need to understand that understanding marketing is a part of understanding business. There are different components that you have to understand when you're opening or running a business. Marketing and sales is one of the very important components. There's also finance, there's operations, there's a lot of different things. And within operations, there's a lot of different things that you need to consider. But within marketing itself, outside of sales, it's about positioning yourself and understanding who you're targeting, what your goals are, what your messaging is, all this stuff, which is the foundation, is also called strategy. So anyone here feel like they're super strategic in life in general? Who feels like they're a little strategic here? Okay, you're kind of strategic. Most people that I meet, they're either technical or they're strategic. They're like either like nuts and bolts. I want to build a website, but I don't want to strategize around who am I going to build a website for. I just like HTML. So leave me alone. And a lot of people that run agencies sometimes are also very technical, but they're not very strategic. There are very big agencies, very big companies that are just high-level strategic companies that think about strategy. But even though if you might not be good at strategy, I want you to understand why strategy is important and what goes into strategy. Because if I just say marketing strategy, you can be like, okay, what does that even mean? Sounds like a big fluffy word, right? Does that make sense? That marketing strategy sounds like a big fluffy word. It sounds like a big document that will make your eyes fall out of your head. But it doesn't have to be that way. If you want to start a business or run a business, you can actually write a marketing plan on the back of a napkin. And I would say if you can't write your idea on the back of a napkin, your idea is too complicated. It needs to be simple, like CHYE. Who are you targeting?
Young men.
Young men. In our it's clearly men. Look around. It's clearly men you're targeting. And what would you like to solve? What problem would you like to solve for them?
I want to empower them
To be successful, to find jobs, to create jobs, all this other stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you know who you're targeting, what the messaging is, and now you have to figure out how do I craft messaging that would speak to these young men? And also, what is your goal? What do you want to achieve? A lot of people go into life and they don't have a goal. If you're a man without a goal, it's like a ship without a rudder. It's going to float around. Eventually, it's going to hit the rocks. Eventually, it's going to land somewhere. You don't know where you're going to land. And you're going to say, wherever I land is hashgacha pratis. But that's a cop-out excuse. You have to make a keli. And making a keli is having goals, knowing where you're going to go. Now, a lot of people don't want to set goals. You know why? Because they're afraid they're setting the wrong goals and they don't want to fail. But not setting goals is failure. And just making excuses in life that I'm not setting goals because I'm not sure is part of the failure that most businesses fall into. I'm going to give you a statistic. 96% of businesses in the United States, out of the 32 million businesses that exist right now, are doing less than $1 million in annual sales. Now, if the average business does 5% a year in profit, how much money does a business owner that makes $1 million take home? $50,000. It's 5%. I know you guys maybe not great at math, but that's arithmetic. It's not really math. But the idea is that most businesses, I used to look around and be like, wow, I have a marketing agency, 32 million businesses. I want to get all of them SEO. I'm all excited. But the reality is, as I started speaking to them, they couldn't even afford a few $100s a month. And I'm like, why can't you afford this? I don't understand. What's going on in your business? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. No strategy, no plan, no goal. So the number one thing that you have to do before you start a marketing strategy is understand your goals. So step number one is write this down, right? Goals. It's so important to understand your business goals. And you know what when I ask, and I was a Google trainer for many years, so I was training people on behalf of Google. My first Google event where Google sent their clients to me was at the Jewish Children's Museum. Were you there when I did it?
I wasn't there, but I remember.
At the Jewish Children's Museum, and it was sold out. It was $80 a person to walk in. Google sent their customers, and it was sold out. Every single seat in the theater was sold out. And I was petrified to walk up onto stage in front of all these business owners because I didn't understand business. I was an SEO expert. I was a web design programmer expert. I knew it backwards and forwards, computer IT systems guy expert. But people, I don't know, emotions, business, right? And I was in charge of all these employees and I had all this going on and I had no idea what was going on, really, like inside. Like I didn't have the confidence. And now, after like being around the block for over a decade, I start realizing that all the people in the room are more scared of me. As scared as I am on stage, the people in the room are just as scared or more scared. And you look familiar. Are you Fagenson? No? Okay. I was like, I know your father, Yossi. You look like. Anyway, so the idea that I want you to impress upon you is that there are business goals and there are marketing goals, and they're different. So what's an example of a business goal? Who wants to share? What's an example of a business goal? Anybody want to share? So that's a goal. So when I ask business owners, what's your business goal? What would you like to do? We're like, we want to make money. We want to sell things. And I'm like, okay, great. So what? It's like, hi, I want to be successful. Okay, great. That's not helpful, right? It's nice. And I love that you said that, because almost every business owner that I speak to, when I say, how much money do you want to make? Guess what they say? A lot. Very good. What else do they say? What else? What do they say?
More than I've been making.
More than I've been making. I want to be a millionaire. What else? What else do people say? What's coming to you? Some just say whatever comes to you. Don't be like, oh, let's open up. We're having a conversation. I want to be rich.
Be a boss.
I want to be a boss. I say, how much money do you want to make? What do they say? As much as possible. Most people say, I'm not going to limit myself. I was speaking to a guy the other day. He called me up. He's like, listen, I have a business. I have a geschäft. Listen, listen, I want to make money. I said, okay, what's your marketing budget? He's like, marketing budget. I can spend $1 billion if I have to. Can you make me money first? I was like, but tell me how much money do you want to make? That's up to Hashem. That's not up to me. I don't make those cheshbainis right here. I was like, all right, let's break this down. Do you have a business? Yes or no? He's like, I have a geschäft, I have a geschäft. I have things are going on right now. I can't even tell you how much, but I just need a marketing agency. So I'm like, all right, what's your annual revenue? He's like, that's private. I don't share that. I was like, all right, how many customers have you serviced? It's Ein Hara, I can't tell you. I'm like, okay. How many customers you'd like to service? All of them, every one of them. And we're having this, and I can't believe I'm having this conversation with this guy because it's going nowhere. He doesn't know what he wants. And then I said, how many employees do you have? He's like, I don't really have employees yet. I'm thinking about it. I was like, so you don't have a business, basically. He's like, I have a business. What do you mean? I have a business. I was like, you're not making any money. He's like, not yet. That's why I'm calling you. I was like, well, what do you want from me? So after this conversation, what I realized is the guy doesn't even know, he doesn't know what's going on. He's just trying to make a living, trying to figure something out. He doesn't have goals. And he's hoping. Now, hope is not a bad thing. Hope is a great thing. But hope is not a strategy. Hope is not a plan. And a lot of people rely on hope that they'll be successful one day. And it's like playing the lottery. When you play the lottery and you fail, you don't win. Are you upset about it? Let's be honest. No, you're not. You spent $1, you lost. Have a good day. Right? You spent $10, you lost. Big deal. You spent $100, you lost. You didn't put much into it. A lot of my employees, when I ask them, why don't you put 100% of your soul into your job? They're like, because if I get fired, I don't want to kill myself. So I put 50% in. So I'm like, you're basically saying you're about to get fired. They're like, what? No, I'll put in 90%. I was like, no, I want 110%. Put yourself completely in. They're like, I didn't think about that. By default, people don't want to put them fully into their marriage, fully into their religion, fully into their life. Why? Because they're afraid that if they go fully in and they fail, well, I went fully in and I'm nothing now because I was vulnerable. I put myself completely in. But if you're not passionate, if you're not excited, if you're not enthusiastic, if you're not all in, you're not going to get the maximum traction. So I want you to set a goal, a meaningful goal. When you're starting a business, that's the most important thing you have to do. Starting an organization, right? I want to make $100,000 in donations and whatever, right? I always ask shluchim, I say, listen, what's your budget? My budget's unlimited. Your budget's not unlimited. Where's your budget at? What do you need to cover each year? And then they start thinking in a whole different way. If you want to build $1 million business, very different. What you're going to have to do is if you want to build $100,000 business. I was talking to somebody, he's doing Airbnbs in Florida. His name is Isaac. Nice guy. He's doing kosher Airbnbs. And I'm like, how much could you possibly make doing kosher Airbnbs? He's like, I can make a lot. I was like, how much could you make? He's like, a ton. I can make a ton. I was like, how much are you making now? He's like, I'm making at least $10,000 a year. I'm like, that's not a ton. I was like, let's, and we broke down his business plan. And it turns out the max he can make is like 300K, which is not terrible. But that's revenue. That's not profit. I was like, you're going to get married one day. And you're going to have to make money off this. And you built your whole life around something that the max market for this is 300K. I was like, let's switch a couple things around. And let's look for a market that's $300 million. You don't have to go for $1 billion or $1 trillion market, but a $300 million market, even if you get a tiny sliver, you can make a good living off it, right? So we changed it around and now his life has changed. Now he's making over $100,000 a year profit because he had a different goal. And his goal is not to become big, big, big. His goal is to be able to live a good life. And so if you think about your goals, your business goals, that's probably one of the most important things that goes into a business plan, which is part of a marketing plan. But you can't even start a marketing plan without understanding where you want to get to and why you want to get there. Okay? So do you guys have a business idea that you want to work with, or do we want to do hypothetical? Because I like getting right into the nitty-gritty. Anybody have any ideas? What's your idea? You're smiling. Are you guys partnering or something? You think about partnering, depends on how he's going to treat you, depends if he's going to buy you something. Are you guys married? Single? Married. Everyone else is single? All right, so let's start a shidduch thing. Like, let's start a shidduch business, right? We can start a shidduch business. There's like the dating scene is it's massive. The whole world. So what type of business would you like to start? If you had a business that you could start, what type of business would you like to start? Let's talk real. Tachlis. T-O-T, as they say. In OT. They say T-O-T in OT. So if you're going to start I remember I had a sukkah business. I had no goals for my sukkah business. I thought I was super successful. I had 400 clients and I was like, what am I even doing? I wish I would have had this conversation and set a goal and realized that the sukkah business, I could make max $200,000-$300,000 if I hustle. I would have used that as a lead-in product. What are you looking at? Yeah, I'm just going to disable his video here. So he's in the bathroom. I don't know what he's doing over there. Oh, I'm sorry. It looked like you were in the bathroom doing something. I'm not going to judge you, Rabbi. Rabbi, there's no judgment here. Anyway. You going to mute that over there? Yeah, but just mute that one. No, just mute it. Someone want to help him with the technology? Isn't that funny? Hello? Did you mute it yet? I like hearing my voice over there. Oh, now I see you. I can see up your nose, dude. Okay. All right, but you guys get you. So when I started the whole sukkah, I didn't know what I could have used the sukkah business was as a lead-in product for a construction company, because everybody was asking me to do other things, and I would say no. And what I really could have done is built a multi-million-dollar business on those 400 customers, or of a percentage of them. But I didn't think business. I was just technical. I was like, I'll build your sukkah, 175 up, 175 down. I have a crew. We'll come down. We'll get it done quick. You want to do it yourself? You hurt your back. I'll do it for you. Let's go. Let's do it. Right? And I'll get flyers and I'll put them on the trees and we would make it happen. It was amazing. And in 5 weeks, I made tens of thousands of dollars in cash, real cash, like actual cash. And when I couldn't do the business anymore after I had kids and I had other things going on, I sold the business. And it was great. And then I had an IT company and I had this and I had that, but none of the businesses really succeeded because I didn't have a goal. Because I didn't have a target to go after. And the goal starts with yourself. How much money do you want to make? Most people don't even write down. I remember writing down, I want to make $100,000. When I made 100, I said, I want to make $250,000. I made 200, I want to make 500. And I want to make $1 million. I want to make $2 million. And then every time I set a goal, I hit the goal. Because I set the goal. Because you know where you want to go. If you don't set a goal, you're not going to know where you want to go. And a marketing strategy, it needs to be informed by, and that's why I'm impressing this so much. I keep like regurgitating this because it's really important. And you hear people talking about it. I remember in yeshiva, there's a guy, Rabbi Kleinman. I don't know if you guys know who he is. I was in Lubavitch Yeshiva on Ocean Parkway. And Rabbi Kleinman used to get really upset at us because we used to throw orange peels at him. I don't even know why we did that. We were kids, it was 5th grade, whatever. And one day he's like, listen, you're really, he brought me into his office and he sat me down and I was like, I want to get out of here. I like really want to get out of here because, you know, they didn't wear deodorant in those days. It was like the 80s. Anyway, so I'm like sitting here in the office and I'm like, you know, he's really nice. He's really a sweet guy, really nice guy, but we really abused him, unfortunately. It was really terrible. And I didn't feel bad then because I was a kid. I just thought it was funny, you know? And anyway, so he sits me down and he asked me a question. He's like, listen, I have a serious question for you. I was like, all right, let's hear what it is. I'm willing to hear. He's like, what's your goal? And I sat down, I looked at him and I laughed and I said, you know, my goal is to get out of this office as soon as possible. Let's set a goal right now that we can end this and I can go back and play football or whatever I want to play with my friends. He's like, okay, but I really want you to think about this. This is really important. If you set a goal, you're a really smart kid. If you set a goal, you'll be successful, whatever you would want to achieve. I was like, great, I want to achieve to get out of here. He's like, all right, nothing I can do, please, goodbye. But that stayed with me. That stayed with me. And much, much later, I remembered that. I tell my kids, set goals. What do you want to achieve? And my son, he goes and he'll do a lemonade stand. And I said, how much money do you want to earn? He's like, as much as possible. No, no, no. How much could you possibly earn? And he's like, I don't even know. How am I supposed to even know that? I said, how many candies? How much did you pay? How much could, and we started making cheshbonos. He's like, I want to make $100 today. I was like, you can do that. Go for it. And then we come up with marketing strategies for him to make $100 off his lemonade stand. Now, you might think that's silly, but it's not, because he's using those strategies in Minecraft to make millions of virtual dollars. If you know, whatever, it's a game. And he's literally being strategic there. And I'm watching him use and make calculations with which tree is bigger and which one will yield him the most when he makes the frame and this. And it's like, wow. He has a goal of how much he wants to achieve. He's like, I want to get to 10 million. And this is what I'm going to do. And it's going to take me 6 months of working hard with my friends to figure it out. For what? For virtual currency that's worth nothing. It's not Bitcoin or anything. It's just like just numbers on a screen. But it's interesting because he has a goal. And he wants to achieve it. And he works really hard at it. So again, if you have a goal, that's the step number one. So if you had a business, what's the business? I want to talk, not hypothetical. I want to talk about an actual business. Do you have one? Does anybody have a business that you'd like to start? Any ideas? Nothing? Like there's nothing that you go.
Organization, nonprofit.
Great, not-for-profit's perfect.
So we're working on a creative platform network. Let's say you want to start in the provide community, but eventually go to the greater community.
Perfect. And what problem does it solve? And remember, a business solves a problem.
Specifically,
Even a not-for-profit needs to solve, not be a problem, solve a problem.
Yeah.
Right? Think about that.
Solve the problem. A lot of organizations need creative talent, video editors, creative writers,
Great.
graphic designers, and they just don't know where to find them. And the same thing is
Upwork?
talent.
Upwork.com?
What?
Upwork.com? Have you
Yeah.
heard of it?
But they want a specific person who gets what they're.
Okay. So
Somebody
from
who-
freelancers.
Exactly.
From freelancers.com.
Yeah.
I like
CH
that.
Creative, right? So
That's
Yeah.
another thing, 'cause
it's
I've used them a lot, and they.
Is fromfreelancers.com
No,
a
no,
thing?
I'm saying I use non-Jewish,
Oh, yes.
unless you have someone in-house.
Got
you
it.
can really,
You
you
need to
can be
understand
really
how
detailed,
the
or totally miss the point.
Okay. Well, there's a way to use Upwork in a way that will work. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on Upwork, and there's a way to make it work
For something Jewish, or, you know,
for something in general in business. In Jewish, what you need is a Jewish strategist, and then they can, once they create the briefs and everything, then you can use freelancers to get the stuff done. You need someone to create the language and all that other stuff, and then you can get stuff done. But of course, yes, you're going to get a guy from Malaysia or whatever, and you tell him what a mezuzah is, and you're like, huh? What are you talking about, right? Of course. Yeah, but you need someone to write what it is and the language and everything, and then anyone can design it or do the videos as long as you have a brief. And a brief is an overview for what you want to do. So not-for-profit with firm freelancers that deal with the problems that firm businesses have, correct? That's great. That's great. And so how is the business going to make money? Non-profits have to make money. Is it going to be through donations, or is it going to be through actual profit from the stores?
So the original idea is you need to gain traffic. I was thinking that we need to gain traffic before we can try to monetize. So I would start free and try and get
Okay,
funding,
great.
and eventually.
Any reason why you're doing it that way? Why don't you just make it into a real business where it makes real money instead of doing
I
it
don't
free?
think there's
A big enough
yeah,
market?
exactly.
Okay, cool. So you just want to do it as a service to make a difference for firm freelancers and for
Well,
businesses.
there's another big angle of the mission is to give creative talent a platform to grow and showcase their talents. So if I'm
Okay.
an entry level graphic designer, no one's gonna hire me, but if I'm $20 cheaper than someone else and the turnaround time is tomorrow instead of 2 weeks, and I have a shot.
It's like one of these firm agencies like Spotlight Design, but it's a not-for-profit. It's a not-for-profit version of, Spotlight Design is probably also not-for-profit.
But it's not an agency. Spotlight is you go to. a
Right, right. So
business.
this is your, I don't know what the word is, but
Well, it's just like a job network. It's a creative
Okay.
talent network.
okay, great. So how much revenue do you want to make? Like how much money could you make doing it? Like what would your goal be for year 1, year 2, year 3? Like what would the business goal be?
Well, year one would be basically I want to keep the cost super low.
So how many donations do you need? How much revenue do you need?
$10,000.
Great, $10,000 in revenue. That's what you're setting for the business. Year 2, what's your revenue? Most people don't think past it, right? And it's okay.
Right.
So you'd say, let's say 50,000, year 2. Year 3, let's say
Well, I'll
100,000.
tell you the truth. I want to basically invest based on the return. In other words, if
Most people do, and that's why they never grow. If you set a goal, you say, this is where I want to be, and then you reverse engineer what you need to do in order to get there. Not, it depends. If it takes off, then I'll grow the business. That's the problem that people are not there.
50% in.
But you get that 50, exactly. That's 50% in. What I would do is if I wanted to start a not-for-profit, I would say, I want to generate $1 million a year in 10 years from now. I want it to be $1 million not-for-profit. Okay? That's what I want. In order for me to be $1 million not-for-profit, I need to have at least 200 freelancers. Each freelancer needs to generate at least 50K. And so you make the calculation of what you need to do. In order to sustain 200 freelancers, I need 500 businesses or 1,000 businesses. And so then you start thinking big. You start thinking, okay, year one needs to be 100K. Year two needs to be 300K. Year four at 500K. Then I'm going to grow slow. And now you start making calculations and projections. And now you can create a marketing plan that reflects where you want to go. Versus, let me see what happens and hope for the best. And then you give up, like most businesses that go out of business in the first 3 years. 90%, it's like a massive percentage. People start businesses, they close them. Serial entrepreneurs. Hi, I'm not a serial entrepreneur. I have one business for 12 years. It's doing really well. 2 years ago, I started another business. We did a record month this year. This month, we did a record month, and we keep growing the business. I have a plan. I know where I want to get to. I know what I want to do. I know how many clients I need. I know how much each client wants to pay me. This is how I want you to think. Again, this is before you get into marketing, but it informs the marketing strategy. It's the foundation of it. And that's why I'm spending so much time on it with you guys right now, because I want you to understand how important it is to understand business before you go and do marketing. A lot of business owners are like, forget about business. Let's go straight to SEO. I want to invest in SEO. And I had hundreds of clients. I made good money off those people. But now it would be like, don't throw your money at SEO. You don't even have a company yet.
And what about testing out a business? Like this platform, I don't believe it can ever really make a lot of money.
The way, you know how I test out a business? You know how I test out a business? I offer it to business owners. And if they are willing to invest in it, I know I have a business. So before I wanted to launch a LinkedIn strategy. Let's just say that I have something called the LinkedIn Authority Blueprint, which is a lead-in product for Ajax Union. So how do I know that I'm going to launch this product, which is like a mini micro business within my business? So I'm going to say, I'm going to speak to 80 people a month for 3 months. And if I can close 30 deals and people prepay me before I do the work, I know I have something. And I did that. I spoke to 80 people a month, 5 people a day, 20 people a week. And in 3 months, I closed 30 deals and all the people paid me. And I got testimonials. I got case studies. People were happy. And I'm like, boom, we're going all in on this. And we're tripling the price. And people still were paying. And it was amazing. And the business keeps growing. That's how I started my agency. That's how I started the sukkah business. I didn't start the business by whatever. Someone's like, can you build my sukkah? I was like, I think I can. Ta, can I borrow your handyman thing and your station wagon? Sure, take it. Go, bring it back in one piece. I don't know about that. I'll see you later, Ta. Bruce, you want to help me? I got to build a sukkah. He's like, you know how to do it? I was like, no, I have no idea, but they're willing to pay us $100. You coming? Boom. All of a sudden the neighbor's like, what are you doing there at Borough Park? They're like, what are you doing over there? We're building the sukkah. Oh, you want to build mine too? Yeah? Sure, I'll build yours. $120. Okay, good. The other guy's like, can you build mine also while you're at it? Just get it out of the way. My husband's lazy. I'm like, oh, sure, of course. And then I was like, let's go to the sukkah center and put up a sign there. And then before you know it, it turns into a business.
Did you triple the price right in the beginning?
No, as soon as I saw traction, I was like, let me see what people are willing to pay. And people were just signing up more than I could do it. So only just increase the price. And people are still signing up, increase the price. And then eventually people slow down a little bit. And I was like, okay, this is the good price. People are still signing up, but not, So look, the idea is whatever business you want to open up, you need to solve a problem. I tested it on P. Yeah. The way you test something is you try to get clients. If people start paying you right away, then you know you have a business. A lot of people want to set up an LLC, get a fancy website, get an office, get a big $500 chair. You don't need any of that to start a business. You just need customers. That's what you really need, right? Think about that. A lot of people's like, I want to write a business plan. Here's your business plan. Go get a client. Like, why would anyone buy from me? Exactly. You have a crappy idea. You're not solving a problem. If you can solve a problem for me, I will pay you. If somebody can solve a problem for you, would you pay them? Of course. What do you share your annual budget? What's your budget? Is that something that you share in general? $525,000. What's your goal? What's your goal? What would you like to get to?
The budget?
Yeah, what would you like to get your budget to? What's your goal? What's your 10-year goal? Where do you want to get to? Where do you want the organization to be? $1 million. Doesn't it feel a little uncomfortable to say it? It feels uncomfortable. It's a big burden, right? $1 million. Am I going to buy a building too? And like all that, right? Maybe, who knows, right? But $1 million, in order to get to $1 million, what do you need to do? Now you're thinking, right? Now you can create a marketing strategy. Now you can, so that's the idea. $520,000 is not a little organization. It's a pretty decent organization making a massive impact. And to do that, he has to work his butt off to do that. Now, if somebody says, I can help you get to $1 million, Rabbi, I can help you get to $1 million. Like, really? How? Let me show you X, Y, and Z. I can do that for you. Would you invest in that person? Probably. You would try them out if you had the budget and you could afford it, right? Would you pay them $20,000, $30,000? Probably. It's not such a big, far-fetched thing. So if you can solve a problem for him, you figure out the problem is he wants to get from 500 to $1 million, and you come to him and he invests in you, now you can go to the museum and do the same thing. And you can go to here and there and the other place, and you didn't even start a business yet. You have a bunch of clients that want to pay you because you promised them something. Now you have to deliver, get case studies, and then grow. You understand? So number one is, what is your business goal? Number two is, what is your marketing goal? In order for you to achieve your business goal, you need a marketing goal. What do I mean by that? How many clients do you need to get into the door? How many potentials do you need to get in the door in order for you to close X amount of clients? So for example, what are you good at? What do you like doing? Chilling? Building. Okay, I thought you said chilling. I was like, wow, I like chilling too. That's amazing. What do you like building? Oh, excellent. So you work in construction management. Do you want to open up your own contracting business one day? You don't? Do you want to do construction management for many different companies? Yeah, so like a construction management consulting company. I have a client, he does $10 million a year. He does construction management. On the front end, he's an engineer. He does exterior restoration. And on the back end, he does all the construction management. His name is Brian. Great guy, good friend of mine. And so Brian has a goal, and every single year he hits his goal. He started, when I met him, he was at $1 million in revenue. Then he did 2 million, 4 million, 8 million. He's now at 10 million. You can do a lot of money doing construction management. It can be a very big business, but you have to know what your goal is. You also have to know what your marketing goal is. What are your marketing goals? How many potentials do you need to get in the door in order for you to achieve your business goal? Understand? And once you have those numbers down, let's say, for example, you say, in order for me to achieve, let's say your number is $1 million in revenue, I need each client to pay me $50,000 a year. So how many clients do you need? Very good. Wow. Amazing, right? It's obvious. 20 clients. In order to get 20 clients, how many potentials do I need? That's where the testing comes in. So you're right about testing. Marketing, write this down. Marketing is about testing. Marketing, no one can ever answer you, how much is it going to cost? How am I going to get it? Because marketing is about testing. Everything in marketing is about testing. I'm always testing. I'm testing right now if you guys are going to engage with me or not. I'm testing right now just to see if people are even here, if anybody's home. We're always testing. My kids are always testing me. They're always trying to get something out of me. Ty, I need a donut. I need this. I need like, they think I'm a drug dealer. They're like, hey, Ty, come on, Jolly Ranchers. I need some Jolly Ranchers. Give me some Jolly Ranchers, right? And they're always trying different strategies. My son, we were just in Empire Marketplace. We went there. I was like, let's get donuts. Let's celebrate. And my son's like, can I also get this case of marshmallows? I was like, what do you need a case of marshmallows? He's like, I'm just testing. I'm just trying it out just to see if I can get a case of marshmallows. I'm not getting you a case. I'm getting you a donut. That's it. We're leaving.
Yeah, I'm actually looking to hire.
So, yeah, so marketing goals, you need to set business goals, marketing goals. You need to figure out how many prospects do you need, how much each one needs to spend, and all this other stuff. Once you have that in order, now you understand what you're selling them, what is your offering, what problem are you solving, how many potential clients do you need, how many clients would you like, how much revenue, what your profit is, all this other stuff. You got to know all this stuff, right? And again, you can write all this down on a piece of paper. It's not like you're writing this whole thing down. And some of it's going to be hypothetical, right? Because you don't know. Marketing's about testing. You'll say, okay, I need 100 clients in order to close 20. Okay, good. Let's try it out. Let's get 100 potentials and let's see if you close 20. Meanwhile, you close 0. So you probably need more just to kind of test. Sometimes you try to test in marketing with too few numbers. Someone recently came to me. He's like, Joe, last year I grew my business by 100%. I totally doubled my business. I was like, okay, how much revenue did you make? He's like, I made a lot. I don't want to tell you how many clients. I had a client last year. Now I have 2 clients. I'm like, okay, good for you. What are you selling? He's like, I have an MLM company I'm part of. I'm selling cosmetics. I'm like, okay, so you have 2 clients. You're making 1% on what they bought. So they spent 100, you made $1, and he's all excited that he doubled his business. Because people like saying that, especially entrepreneurs. Like, I'm doubling my business. And there's nothing wrong with saying that. The reality is when you look at the numbers, they don't really have a business. You go to a lot of stores, even like the wine store across the street, you go into a lot of stores and you start looking at their numbers and you start saying, does it make sense to have a store like this? And a lot of times it doesn't. And people are just in it for the cash flow. There's a very big difference between cash and between profit. A lot of people are in business because they live off the negative cash flow. They're making revenue, but there's no profit. So they buy, they sell, they buy, they sell, and they're holding money in between. And that's kind of like what they're living off. And then they get loans to kind of bridge it all. And before you know it, all the cards fall apart. And that's why the businesses go out every 3 years. And they start another business because that business didn't work out because I didn't have luck with the business. No, you didn't have a strategy. You didn't have a plan. Now, when it comes to a strategy, a marketing strategy, once you know your goals and all that, then you're going to figure out who your target market is. So my target market is very important. When I started my business, I didn't really understand this whole concept of target market and why is it even important? Does anyone know why it's important to pick a target market? Why?
Because then you create the products or services for those, you can be more specific about.
Exactly. Because if you're talking to everybody, you're talking to nobody. If you're talking to everybody, you're talking to nobody. In order for you to have something called a unique selling proposition, in order for you to stand out, you have to know who you're talking to, correct? Does that make sense to you? Because for one person, they care. For one person, it's cash. For another person, it's trash. There are 3 major problems that we solve in business. Does anyone know what the 3 major problems that we solve in business are? What are the 3 major problems? Anyone guess?
Convenience is one of them.
What?
Convenience is one of them.
So we're either making money for people, you're either making people money, right? In this case, CHYE makes people money, correct? It's trying to make money. Sales organizations, they try to make, marketing agencies trying to make people money. That's what they do for a living, okay? The second thing is you're saving people money. It's another way, right? Accountants, what do? They're not making you any money. They're trying to save you money on taxes, right? That's the problem that they're solving. There's a lot of businesses that are trying to save you money. There are people that when you have an insurance claim, they're called public adjusters. Anyone know what a public adjuster is? What's a public adjuster? So what a public adjuster is, a lot of people think they know what it is.
They're between the claim and the claimant.
Okay, what do they do? What's their job? What are the problems that they solve?
To earn more, the insurance company should pay less to the. It depends which way it is.
Okay, so there's public adjusters that represent public adjusters. So there's the insurance company's adjuster, and then there's the public adjuster. The public adjuster represents the public, not the insurance company. So the public adjuster, what they try to do is they try to screw the insurance companies. Okay, so they come in, like, hello, I need public adjuster, buena. I break this wall here, tear this whole thing down, earthquake happened, I get you $2 million for this house right now. And I come with my crane, I break it all down. That's a public adjuster. You try to maximize your claim. You have a faucet that broke. You want to make an insurance company. Like, no. The whole thing broke. Everything. Flooded for a week.
Why is really?
Because that's the ones that I saw in Florida. They come in with their drills. They're cutting wall. Insurance guy coming tomorrow. We have to go crazy. Break it. Like whatever. He's like, the whole thing. Insane. I'm like, what is going on over here? He's like, and it's funny, I was cracking up. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, this is a business. And how does he earn money? He takes 30% of whatever he's able to get. So you were going to get a $5,000 claim because you had a little tiny flood with a $1,000 deductible, so you would make $4,000 total. He's like, no, boy, I get you 150,000. I take 50, you take 99, we're good. Yes? Good, let's do it. Why not? It's no brainer, right? So he'll prove to the insurance company that it's $150,000 to fix. And the insurance company has no, they have to figure it out, and they end up settling with him for, let's say, 93 or whatever, versus you doing it yourself. So it's a business. There are thousands of public adjusters, thousands of them, and their goal is to save you money, right? make you money, but really save you. Like, you know, ultimately at the end of the day, you have problems in your house and you end up only getting the insurance company wants to screw you so that you can't even cover your claim. So really they're trying to protect you. I went on the extreme. What they're really I went on the extreme where the guy's kind of like, you know, making things, but really the insurance company is only going to give you $5K and it costs you $50K to fix. So it's not about you're trying not to lose money. So you're trying to save money. That's the idea. And that's the problem. You know, there's a lot of very legitimate ones. I just know the Israelis are so funny, like what they do. It's just crazy. But in, you know, in everything, it's like there are body shops. You know what a body shop is? Exactly, to fix your car. So you get into an accident, the guy's like, listen, let me show you what really happened to the car. You come with a little dent, and, you know, if you're gonna pay for it, you might as well fix all the mirrors. Like, what's wrong with the mirrors? Watch. You know, so you think about there are people that make you money, there are people that save you money, and then there's a third component, which is people that eliminate risk. So when you're a company that's doing $100 million, you don't really need to make so much more money. If you're spitting off 10% profit, 5% profit, you're doing really well, you're growing, you're a family business, whatever. The question is, what's your issue? Your issue is that there might be a big risk, like cybersecurity. Somebody will come in and steal all your money or steal your clients. So they will invest money to make sure that they eliminate risk. Life insurance, they're not saving you money. They're not making you money either. In some cases, they're not really. They're making you 4% or whatever, but they're really eliminating risk. That's their goal. So if somebody dies, chas v'shalom, they get paid out. That's a risk elimination. So those are the three main things that your business will solve for other businesses. Make money, save money, eliminate risk. So when you're doing something, you have to have a competitive advantage because you're going to have competitors. And let me tell you something. If you don't have competitors, it probably means you don't have a very good business. Nobody else wants to do it. A great business is a business that has a lot of competitors and you have a competitive advantage based on who you're targeting. You create something called a niche. So there's a market, there's a sub-market, and there's a niche. Are you guys getting value so far? Raise your hand if you're getting value. Okay, looks like everybody's getting value. I like that.
What was the third thing? It's basically make money, save money.
Eliminate what? Risk. Eliminate risk. Right? Think of life insurance. Eliminate risk.
You skip product.
The products do what? The product makes you money, makes you money, saves you money. There is that, but ultimately, at the end of the day, there's
everything you're describing is more like consulting.
Consulting is very heavy in consulting.
I'm buying iPhones.
Yeah. NICHE.
When I buy an iPhone, I'm not really thinking about how it's saving me money, making money.
Maybe you are. Right. So some people want to have fun and they do things for fun. But ultimately, at the end of the day, is when you're working with businesses, I'm mostly talking about when you're working with businesses versus consumers. With consumers, it's a whole nother ballgame too. But I'm talking about if you guys are going to be doing business services in general, those are the three things that business owners are speaking about. I'm talking about in my world.
What are you doing e-commerce?
Right. So if you're doing that, that's consumer marketing, and that's a whole nother conversation, and we can talk more about that. But a lot of you that are going to start businesses, a lot of time, and you're really worried about marketing when it comes to that, they already did the marketing for you. If you're selling a commodity product like an iPhone, you don't have to sit there and start thinking about the target market and all this other stuff. Apple's taking care of that for you. Right? You put in the model number, you get the right price, you're done. So there's not so much marketing there. Okay, that's not really, it's more advertising. It's different. I'm talking about marketing, creating a strategy for something. So if you're creating a strategy, let's say you make your own iPhone and you want to start to sell it. You have to think about your competitive advantage. And sometimes it's pleasure, sometimes it's fun. And I'm going to get into pain and pleasure and all that stuff. But I wanted to cover when most people are starting businesses and they're creating a marketing strategy, that's what people are thinking about. A lot of consumer products are saving money, making money, eliminating risk. Those are the main three. Of course, there are other reasons why people do things. There's 1.5 million reasons I can come up with why somebody would buy something.
This is in the book.
But these are the book doesn't cover that. The book is like, takes you through marketing funnels and how it works and tactics and all this other stuff. But I talk a lot about business and marketing goals. That's the beginning of the book, kind of talking about this other stuff. A book that I finished writing and it's going to be published is called High Energy Marketing. It'll be on Amazon in a few days.
We're getting
I'll send you an exclusive link where you can purchase it for $10, whatever. It's not a big investment. But if you guys want copies, I can talk to the rabbi. Like signed copies and all that stuff. So where was I? So I was talking about, market, sub-market, and niche. So there's a concept called a market. So if you're going to start a business, you want to solve a problem, but you want to solve it in a market. Now, the three most popular markets, there's a lot of markets that are not popular, but the three most popular, can anyone guess what the three most popular markets are in general? Markets, like big
Okay.
segments. What?
Location-wise, or like a festival like
Like for example, there's wealth. Wealth is a market. Like money is a market. Health is a market.
There's a lot more than three.
So if you put things into categories, like major categories that there's a lot of advertising, there's health, wealth.
Technology.
Events, occasions.
Yeah, that was good. Pleasure.
Pleasure is not a market necessarily.
Vacation, you know.
So that's an industry. There are industries. That's definitely an industries. So if you think about just markets in general, when you break down the major places where people are spending like an enormous amount of money, travel is definitely an industry. People are spending, like now travel is kind of like shot because of the pandemic, but travel is definitely an industry. But in terms of a market, what I love, the way that I like to look at things is that there's a market. Within every single market, there's a sub-market, and then under the sub-market, there's a niche. Okay. So for example, there's a market called love, right? Relationships. That's one of the three major markets. People are always thinking about relationships. I don't know about you guys. If you're thinking about it, maybe you're not thinking about it. But thinking 50% of marriages end in divorce. Like people are thinking about relationships all the time. And they spend money on relationships, right? They spend money on travel. That has to do with relationships. You know, honeymoons, all this other stuff, weddings, events, whatever, going places with your family, Disneyland. It's all relationship-wise, family-wise. That goes in that category. And at the end of the day, the market is love or relationships, right? That's the market. The sub-market for that could be dating, right? There's a sub-market called dating within relationships. There's also a sub-market called weddings and whatever. And within the sub-market called dating, there's dating for Lubavitcher boys. Right? So shidduchim for Lubavitcher boys, or for from Yidden, or for conservative, or for whatever. Like there's niches. You can carve out a niche for yourself. And within your niche, you can even have a sub niche, like an ultra niche. So for example, if you're thinking about health, for example, health is a massive market, right? Within health, there's a sub market. What's a sub market in health? Maybe for example, you said vegan. Someone said vegan? Vegan, right. Okay, so vegan could be, vegan's more of a niche.
Exercise.
But I would say, yeah, so fitness could be, and then for example, CrossFit is a niche. And then within the niche, you can pick like a local market, and you can target a demographic that you target. But vegan's definitely a niche within like the restaurant world or within cooking or whatever. But the market is health, and then there's cooking, and then there's vegan. Okay, so the more you narrow down, the easier it is to be able to market yourself. Because if you're just basically, hi, I deal with all types of health, every type of health for every type of person all over the world. And we're like, okay, what do you do? Everything. Whatever you need. You need vegan, I can do vegan. You need lollipops? You need, what do you need? You need vitamins? I can do vitamins. You need doctors, and you got to get your fungus and your toenail done? I can fix that. I do laser too. Everything, acupuncture, whatever. Everything in health, you do everything. I do everything. You don't do anything. You're doing everything, you're not doing it. But if you really niche down, so I want you to consider that when you're picking your thing, which one of the categories do you kind of fit into? Now, of course, there are other categories. There are other categories, there are industries and all that other stuff. But, those are the three main categories where people are spending a lot of money online in those three categories, especially when people are creating courses and education and all this other stuff. They're picking those niches. There are so many different industries that you can get into. There's like an endless amounts of things that you can do. You have to think about what you love to do. And the reason you would pick a target market, one of the factors of why you would target a specific market has to do with your passions. So some people want to help Lubavitcher boys, or Lubavitcher men, I should say. They want to help them with different things. You want to help them be able to create jobs, to find jobs, all this other stuff. So you have a clear target market because you're passionate about that. If you were passionate about helping vegans, you'd be doing something else, right?
Yeah.
So when you're picking your audience, it has to do with what you care about too. Because if you're not excited about something, when you're not making money, you're going to stop doing it. If you're only doing things for the money, when you stop, you're not going to do it anymore. When you stop making money for it, if you're only doing it for the money. And I know a lot of people, they keep moving from industry to industry and they're looking for themselves because really it has to start with you. So picking your target market is really important, and understanding who you're targeting is really important. Once you pick your target market based on your passions, based on your experience, based on your connections, based on what clients you've served in the past, and all this other stuff, there's like 6 different things that you need to consider when you're doing that. Once you pick your target market, then it comes to messaging. Okay? So messaging is about figuring out, okay, let me ask you guys a question. Do people make decisions based on logic or emotion? What do you guys think? What do you think?
Emotion, absolutely.
Okay, what do
And
you
then
think?
they validate it with their logic.
Correct. What do you say? Hands if you're male or female. Okay.
The only married
Logic. He says logic.
Nobody else will say logic. So.
What do you think? A bit of both. What do you think? A little bit of both. Okay. Emotion. All the gurus say that people make the actual decision of whether you're going to do it or not is based on what you feel. But of course, like you said, people it needs to make sense. People don't do things if it doesn't make sense. Sometimes they do crazy things that don't make sense. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we're driven by our impulses. We're driven by how we feel. If something feels right, we'll do it. If it doesn't feel right, we won't do it. And then we'll justify why it felt right with logic. I know why it felt right because I was going to make money. Or I know why it felt right because I like the person. I know I feel like we're always telling ourselves stories about everything. Why is this important? Is this a psychology lesson? No. It's because in marketing, if you want to create messaging that will get somebody to take action, you have to understand both emotion and logic, and you have to understand what they're afraid of. People will take action based on their pains more than anything else. So you have to figure out, what is this person's pains? Once you figure out who the person is, what are their pains? You also need to figure out what are their gains, what are their goals, what would they like to achieve? But that's in the now. What problem, remember I said what problem you want to solve? When you're solving a problem, you're doing 2 things. You're getting them further away from pain and closer to pleasure. Okay, these are the only 2 reasons why people do things, pain and pleasure, pain and pleasure. You guys were talking about pleasure before, right? Pain and pleasure. So every single person here, you guys are a clear demographic of young Lubavitcher men. You guys have pains. What are some of the pains that you have right now? Talk about your pains. You have pain in the butt, pain in the neck. You're tired. Tired of what? Just tired, just exhausted.
I can sleep.
You're waiting to meet their share.
You're waiting to be shared. You have a pain. You're looking for love. You're looking for your best friend, right?
Working too many hours.
Working too many hours. Some people have a problem that they are married. Different problems, right? I'm trying to get married, got married, I'm getting divorced, like whatever, like different things, right? So think about that. What is your pain? What are some pains that you have? I'd like to make money, right? That's a pain that you have. I'd like to learn a skill. I remember when I was 17, I told my mother, I was basically crying. I was like, Ma, you sent me to yeshiva. I'm going to be poor like you. I'm not going to make any money. And I was mamish, I was like in tears. And my mother gave me a hug and he said, get in the car. So I got in the station wagon with a little hole in the floor where we used to put the ketchup things. We used to, oh, look at that. So I got in the station wagon and she drove me to the Brooklyn Public Library. Anybody ever been to the Brooklyn Public Library? Amazing, amazing place. This is before the age of the, like what we have now on our phones and all this stuff. I had a beeper, a Mashiach beeper or whatever. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it was a thing. When the Rebbe would come, there was a Mashiach beeper and you would run to 7-7. You'd be able to leave school, grab some nosh and go to 7-7 because the Rebbe was coming. And so she took me to the Brooklyn Public Library and she parked outside and she's like, go inside there. I'm like, what am I going to do in the library? I didn't go to school. You didn't send me to college. I'm going to fail. And I didn't learn anything in yeshiva. I didn't even learn Torah in yeshiva. I can't even read from the Torah. I can't do anything. So she told me, formal education will make you a living. She's like, you were meant to be wealthy. Self-education will make you a fortune. Go find a book. You like computers. Go find a book. Read about computers, and you'll learn how to fix computers. Everybody needs a computer. So I said, okay. I'm going to walk in and get a book on computers. I don't even have a computer. We didn't have a computer at home. 17 years old, no computer. Could you imagine? No computer? Like, how could it be? No computer. Everyone here, my kids have 3 laptops. No computer? I didn't have a computer. So I read books. I read all about computers, and I was like, Ma, I think it's time for us to buy a computer. And she said, I'll go 50-50 with you. We went to J&R Music and Computer World. Anyone ever heard of J&R Music and Computer World? in Manhattan. Yeah, so it was right next to the Brooklyn Bridge. We went there. We bought a compact computer with 2 big speakers connected to the screen. The monitor was like 300 pounds. It was like this thing. Had a 33.6K modem. I was like, wow. It had like 1 megabyte of RAM or like half a megabyte. I was like, wow, it's so fast. Windows 95, but a free upgrade to Windows 98. Anyway, I got the computer and I mastered it. I didn't even have internet. I was taking it apart and learning all the settings and everything and just kind of like really like reading books and reading books and like really getting to know it. And before you know it, I was fixing everybody's computers for free, for fun. I was solving that problem. And after that, people were like, listen, can I pay you to come? The cash advance guy, Barry Sugar. Do you know who Barry Sugar is? He's a little place here at the corner. He has a bunch of stores. What?
Checks cash is not a cash advance.
Whatever. Checks cash. Oh, got it. So I always call it cash advance, but checks cash. That's what it is. Anyway, so he's like, could you come over to my thing? He's like, yeah, I can fix computers. Let me check it out. So I went there and I managed all his computers. He was my first IT client. Then I started an IT company. People just started asking me to fix their IT. And I started to charge, he was paying me $35 an hour, which I thought was great. But then I heard people are charging $100. So I'm like, what the heck? I should charge $200. And before you know it, I'm charging $300 an hour fixing people's computers. I'm like, whoo, this feels good. And people are calling me to go, and I hire people under me, and it's just so much fun. But again, no marketing strategy. I'm just doing it because I'm passionate about it. So I learned something from my mom. You got to read books. So I bought books on web design, and I started building websites for people. And I did it for free, for fun, because I enjoyed it, solving the problem. And then people started paying me. And I worked for Chabad.org. And I started doing all these things until I realized that if you build it, they will come. It's not true. If you build it, they will not come. You have to learn to market it. And so I learned search engine optimization. And then I started an agency, and Baruch Hashem, that grew because I learned something called residual revenue. Not every client is created equal. All humans are created equal. But not every client is created equal. That's why picking your target market is really important. I know you guys are really tired. So I just want to finish doing.
You got 20 more minutes.
Okay, good. Because they're kind of like shifting and falling asleep. Maybe take a sip of water. Let's all take a sip of water. If you have water, grab water.
I'm enjoying every second of this, man.
Thank you.
I don't want it to end.
A 5% drop in hydration is a 30% drop in energy. Wow. Did you know that?
No.
A 5% drop in hydration in athletes is a 30% drop in energy scientifically. That means if you're missing water, you're missing energy. A lot of people that try to get energy from food, but really they're dehydrated. So think about that. And even if you just take 2-3 sips of water, suddenly your energy goes up because your body and your brain is mostly energy, mostly water. And energy doesn't come from food. Food actually uses up more energy in order for you to produce, and that's fine. And that's fine, it's good, but it gives us that sugar high so we feel like, but then we crash after. But water gives us that consistent energy that we need. So anyway, so that's what? You can if you want to, or you can buy High Energy Secrets on Amazon. I wrote a book about it, how I lost 95 pounds and kept it off.
Separate book?
Separate book. Over the course of like 4 years.
What was your goal?
My goal with writing the book is when someone asks me, Joe, how did you lose the weight and keep it off? I say, go to Amazon, search my name, Joe Apfelbaum, and you'll find all the books. That was my goal. And I wanted to sell 125,000 copies of the book. And I didn't sell 125,000.
Yeah.
Where focus goes, energy flows. I focus on my business. But yeah, the answer is yeah, exactly. So after I have the whole high energy series, I have high energy secrets, I have high energy answers, the questions your parents or teachers are too afraid to answer, specifically for teenagers. I have high energy purpose that I launched last year about how to be all in on your life. Now I'm launching high energy marketing, and this year I'm also going to launch high energy networking. So I have all that stuff in the making. So I'm going to have a whole series of high energy books, and then I'll be selling 125,000 copies of the book every year of all the different books combined. That's my goal. Anyway, so messaging. I was talking about messaging.
You were saying about your market, residual customers.
Oh, so when you're thinking, not all customers are created equal. So when I recognize what changed my whole business completely, my whole life completely, basically, is I used to get a customer right? I used to build a website for somebody. They would pay me a few hundred or a few $1,000s to build a website. And then when I'm done with the website, I would have nothing. Then I realized this concept called residual revenue. It's kind of like what you do with the $1,800 that you get from each person. It's residual every year. Here you go, Rabbi. Here you go, Rabbi, right? Residual. It's like the high club. Every month, people pay me. Now every month, people pay me $15,000 every single month. Every month. I get one customer, great. They'll pay me every month $180,000 a year. Two customers, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30. They're all paying me every month. So the more customers I get, the bigger my business grows because it's residual revenue. Very powerful. And now I think about, hang on a second. If an agency can make X amount gross profit, how much can I make off a course? How much can I make off a book? How much can I make off software? So thinking about being smarter with how you're building your business in terms of your profit, because if you're making $10 million on an agency and you make $1 million profit, if you make $10 million on courses or education, you can make $5 million profit for the same 10 million in revenue, the same reoccurring revenue. So you have to think that not every business is created equal, not every client is created equal. Some clients are not going to pay you residuals. Some clients are basically, I just want to pay you one time and be done. But that's not the right ideal type of client. So thinking about the pains and the gains, which is what's going on right now, will help you define the messaging of now, but also subconsciously, people are thinking about the future. Why does somebody have a pain? Because they're worried about something that they fear in the future. So if your pain is, I want to get married right now. Anybody here want to get married now? Like ASAP, want to find someone that they love now? Soon, pretty much soon? Yeah, soon? Okay, good. The reason why you want to do that, because if you're afraid, if you don't get married now or soon, maybe you won't have kids or maybe you won't find somebody or whatever it is. There's a fear associated to every pain. Like if you have pain from doing push-ups, you're afraid you might die or whatever it is. Right? There's always a fear. So a fear is what might happen in the future. Fear is never true today. And why am I even talking about fear? Because at the end of the day, that's a motivator for people. Just like pain is a motivator for people, fear is. But fear is usually subconscious. The fear of public speaking that I had was subconscious. I didn't know that I had a fear of public speaking until Rabbi Jacobson gave me a bracha in my office. He came to my office and I was helping him for free to do stuff. And he's like, my partner was a Hasidic guy, not a yeshiva guy from Flatbush. And he told Rabbi Jacobson, he's like, Rabbi Jacobson, could you give us a bracha? Like, mamish, a good bracha. Rabbi Jacob says, you should be matzliach. And he's about to walk out. He's like, no, come here. That's not a bracha. You're a gadol hadar. He's like, you got to give us. He's like, me, gadol hadar. Do you know what I'm up to? He's like, all right, just walk around, give us a mamish a bracha. So he's like, all right, let me give you a bracha. You know how he gets into it. And he's like, you should be. He's like trying to come up with something. And he starts saying, you guys should be able to impact tens of thousands of people, and you should give people parnasa, and you should make a difference for people. And I'm checking my email. I had a BlackBerry then. I'm checking my email on my BlackBerry, and I'm looking, bling! All of a sudden, I get an email from Google. Would you like to become a certified Google trainer? And I was like, maybe. Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah, I don't even know what that is. That turned into my public speaking career, which turned into so many different things for me in my life. Like opened up so many doors. And I think that it came from that bracha. Whatever. Did it come really from that bracha? Who knows? Yes. But why not? Why not give it that bracha, which came from the rabbi, which came from whatever? Who knows? Everything. It's everything to the rabbi. No, like everything goes back because it went to the oil. And anyway, so bottom line is, what's the bottom line? Is that I had a fear of public speaking, but I didn't know I had the fear till I got Google trained. Until I got in front of a bunch of people and I always had a heart attack. And I was like, why is my heart beating? And why do I feel like I'm going to die right now? And why do I have all this pain? And it was because I was afraid of getting judged from other people. But I didn't even know all that. I had to work very hard to figure that out. And I had a fear of social media. When I started off on, like on Facebook or whatever, I had a picture of a cat instead of me. I was like, why would I put a picture of me up? Like, who wants to see me? Look at my face. Look what I'm wearing. I have eyes. Look at me. Yeah. Right? I was afraid. So I didn't even know I was afraid. I was like, I'm just a private person. So I had all these fears. And I had a fear of networking and I had a fear of writing. Now I write books, but I didn't write books before because I said, I have 36 writers that work for me. I don't write. I'm not a writer, huh? But really, I was afraid of writing. I was afraid people would judge me because I don't have the perfect English and all this other stuff. Bottom line is we all have fears. We have pains that are right now. I have a pain, but my pain, really there's a fear behind the pain. So if you can learn about your target market, what their pains are, but also what their fears are, you'll be able to craft messaging to motivate them. Now on the other side, there's the goals that they have, and then there's the dreams that are associated with those goals. So the reason why somebody has a goal is because eventually they want to achieve something. So if I say, how much money do you want to make? And you say $1 million, it's because you have a dream to help thousands of people, whatever your dream is. You're like, oh, I had a dream, right? You had a dream. We all have dreams. You're dreaming right now. You look like you want to be dreaming right now. Am I right? He's like, I need to start saying Hamapil right now. But you get what I'm saying, right? You guys get what I'm saying? To create the right messaging, and then you come up with things that have not just a competitive advantage, but something that has a metric for people. There has to be a metric. So when you're crafting messaging, what you want to tell somebody to really motivate them is, I will help solve your pain, to help you with your goal, and not have to deal with your fear. And I can do that in X amount of days and generate X amount of money, whatever the metric is.
That second half, you tell them or you don't.
You can tell them that. That could be your guarantee, your promise. I promise you that I will get you X amount of clients in X amount of days because you have this fear, right? And I know what your fears are. So if I said, I can, listen,
So you're not
I'm going to find you a shidduch. I'm going to find you a shidduch, right? And I'm going to make sure it's the perfect shidduch. And in 30 days, I can guarantee that you'll get a shidduch. And I can break it down how, and like all this other stuff. And I can create the perfect messaging because I know that's what you want, based on understanding what your pain is, what your fear is, what your goals are, and what your dreams are. Okay? And if you have a dating app that helps you find a shidduch faster, people might pay for the dating app, or whatever, right? But you have to figure out what the messaging is to make sure and know who you're talking to, because every person has different pains based on who they are, based on the demographic. Now, there's demographic, there's geographic, there's psychographic. What's the difference? Demographic is who the person is based on their age, based on their gender, based on, who they are. Geographic is where they're located. Okay, so people in Crown Heights think differently than people in Knoxville, Tennessee. All right? Anybody here from Knoxville, Tennessee? You were there. What did you do in Knoxville? You went to Trader Joe's? Smoking?
Smoky Mountain.
Oh.
They were smoking, man.
Smoking in the mountains. Smoking trees in the mountains. Smoky Mountains. Cool. Very nice. You drove there? Drove the way back. What was it, like 10 hours? I drove to visit a shliach in Asheville, North Carolina. CHYE. That was a good trip. That was nice. We went through Virginia. We went through, but it was like through the Tennessee. Like we were all like in that area. Nice drive. So back to what we were saying. Where were we?
The message you created.
Geographic.
Fear, oh, yeah.
Geographic. So we said demographic, there's geographic. Psychographic is how they think. Are they cheap?
Yep.
Are they not cheap?
Wouldn't that be demographic?
No. There's how they think.
Not if they have the money. It's pretty.
Right. Are they making $60,000 a year, or $100,000, or $1 million a year? That's demographic. Are they cheap people, or are they people that like to pay, or are the people that only want the best? That's different types of people, but that's not a demographic and that's not a geographic. That's a psychographic. It's how they think.
So liberal conservative would be
Psychographic. Psychographic. How they think. How the person thinks. And then there's also firmographic. So when you're dealing with business to business, there's a type of company. So firmographic data is like, how much revenue do they have? How many employees do they have? So when you're creating a marketing strategy, you want to consider these factors: demographic, geographic, psychographic, and sometimes if it's B2B, firmographic as well. Just an idea of things that you should know about that exist. You know what you know, and you sometimes also know what you don't know. But over here, there are things that you didn't even know you didn't know about. A lot of things that you didn't even know. I didn't even know that I didn't know that, right? And that's most of the knowledge in the world. I got 10 more minutes before I got to jet. But I want to answer questions. I mean, I think I took you guys through the basics of a marketing strategy, and I'll do a quick recap. Your goal, your business goal and your marketing goal, your target market, who your audience is, and then your messaging, what your promise is based on the pains and gains. I walk you through the whole thing. That's a marketing strategy. There's a lot more to it. There's product creation. There's offerings, there's lead-in products, there's funnels, I can take you through every tactic, lead magnets, email automations, landing pages. I can take you through tracking technology, MarTech. I can take you through so many different things, which in itself would be hours and hours and hours of information. But what I want you to know is the main thing is I want you to think about your goal and what you'd like to achieve. And that's why I spent so much time on that, because all this other mumbo jumbo stuff doesn't matter if you're just trying to get lucky. Well, then just buy the lotto. And by the way, 80% of people, do your research, 80% of people that win the lottery lose the money within 3 years.
Right.
That's crazy.
They're
like, woo, I won the lottery, let's go to Vegas. Oh crap, I lost it all.
96% of people who make open business lose it as well. You're better off buying the lottery.
You're better off buying the lottery, or you're better off having a strategy and being the 4%. Because those people actually have a plan. They get a coach, they work with somebody, they work on themselves, and they actually achieve something great. And I wish I had this information when I was 20, when I was 17, when I was 21. I wish I had this info, because this is great stuff. And you learn this stuff from books, from mentors, from coaches, from this type of stuff, from courses.
You have a couple good books?
I have so many amazing books. Like, for example,
more about what you just said. Planning.
there's like an enormous, I have hundreds and hundreds of books that you could read. If I were you guys, I would read books about personal development now. I don't know if you guys ever read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Teens.
Yeah. Teens is a great book too. 7 Habits. I would read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, if you guys haven't read it. Are you read it? Powerful book, The 13 Principles of Riches. If you've read it, study it. It's a good book. I read a book called Getting Things Done by David Allen, help you get organized and figure out like how to live a stress-free life. If you wake up late every morning, I would read a book called The Miracle Morning, powerful book by Hal Elrod. You writing those down? If you guys want a book list, I can send a rabbi a book list of things.
We have a group, it'd be nice.
It'd be nice.
I don't mind writing it down right now.
Yeah, and I have it all on my, if you go to LinkedIn, I have an article with all the different books and why I like each book and all that. Just go to joelinkedin.com. I have 222 articles that I wrote on LinkedIn. You don't have to look through it, you can search through it. What?
One of the best books.
Right, so I have an article with my best books on the article.
Can you
So
give me your top 3?
my top 3,
You just said, 7 habits.
7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Think and Grow Rich, and Getting Things Done. Because getting things done will help you guys get things done, especially as a project manager, construction project manager. It would be really helpful for you. Okay. By the way, do you guys have jobs now? Is that what that's what the yeah? What do you guys do? Like, what's your job?
Teacher and mashgiach at a nursing home.
Amazing. I did mashgiach at a nursing home too when I was in Kentucky. I had such a blast playing piano for the Alta Cockers there. Whew, so much fun. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but they were all clapping. I don't think they heard anything. I also sang Chazanis. I said all the words wrong, but it was great. They loved it. They were all crying to tears, and I was like totally butchering the whole thing. But I was getting paid to do it. No, they were like, oh, I felt like I was in Auschwitz again, and like whatever. I was like, oh.
13 principles of what?
No, so that's the Think and Grow Rich is the 13 Principles of Riches.
You know, the group guys.
You're saying that
Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is amazing. So
you're saying that there's to connect your goals with
business goals with your marketing goals.
Right, but then you were saying about the demographic that you would work with, let's say.
Something that you're passionate about.
Right, so the same thing would carry on into goals, let's say.
Yeah, you want to do things that you're excited about. If something doesn't excite you, don't do it. Like, do things that excite you. Like, your feelings will drive you to be extremely enthusiastic. And where you have certainty and enthusiasm, that's where you're going to have passion. That's where life is. You want to be excited about something. Like, if you're just getting married to somebody that you're just going to settle with, find somebody that you can be passionate with, that could be your best friend, that you can connect with. The same thing with your business. You're marrying your business. You're not just having a business for a year. You want to have a business for the rest of your life, or you're building a business to sell. But if you tell an investor that you're just in it just to sell it, they're not going to want to invest in you. They want to feel like this is your baby, that you never want to get rid of it. The people that grow businesses to $100 million, they never wanted to sell it. They just want to be all in. So, and I meet a lot of these people that have built mega businesses, hundreds of millions of dollars from nothing, from an idea. But it takes 25 years for them to get there, 30 years. By that time, they're like, everyone tries to win overnight now. People overestimate what they could achieve in a year, but they grossly underestimate what they could achieve in 10 years. Yeah.
Question.
He says that a lot. What?
Right there. You said about like money, setting your goals of how much you want to make. How can anyone know, like just throw out a magic number? Like, how do you know? Obviously, everyone wants to make
It's a feeling.
as much.
It's your appetite, hunger. Are you hungry? Do you eat a lot? You don't look like you eat a lot. You're not that hungry, but some people are super fat. They eat a ton. Why? Hunger. You want to fresh via chazer. So that's what they do. You're not like that. You wear a suit, you dress nice, you eat like a bench. Maybe you eat with a fork and a knife. There's some people, you go to buff and bun, the guy's like, he's like, right? Hunger. There's different hunger. If you're hungry for 50K a year, that's great. It works for you. If you're hungry for 100, that works for you. If you're hungry for 200 or for 1 million, some people, they're so hungry.
But you said in some businesses, like you said before, so you basically went through this guy's business and you say you want to make 300K. You can want more, but you're saying actually realistically.
That's what the market bears. That's what is available. If all the people buy, let me ask you, if you open up a grocery in Crown Heights, okay, what's the max you can make in the grocery in Crown? There's a max that you can make. You can't make unlimited money. Marketplace can't just make unlimited money. There's a limit. There's X amount of families. They spend X amount on Shabbos. If you got all the families in the entire community, plus you deliver to all the other communities, how much could you make? There's an amount. You figure out that amount and you'll know what your market is, and that's your cap. Now, Starbucks had a cap when they had one store, but when they have 27,000 stores, they were able to replicate that cap over and over and over. And that's why their stock, is where it is. Same thing with McDonald's. Same thing with all these other franchises. That's where the money is with these stores, not one store. They don't make money. Subway doesn't make money on one store. Dunkin' Donuts, no. It has to do with the mass amount of stores, and a lot of them are franchises. And franchises make money whether the store makes money or doesn't make money. That's why franchises are so great, because they take 6% off the top of their revenue. They don't care about the profit. Business owner, you deal with your profit. I want money off the revenue. And that's great. So if you're ever going to do a deal, don't do a deal with somebody off their profit. Do a deal off their revenue, because that's something that you can control. And a lot of people don't even know the difference in revenue and profit. You talk to people about revenue, profit, gross profit. What are you even talking about? Net profit? Like, what are you even saying? There's a difference. What's the cost of goods sold? And there's a book, Simple Something by the Numbers. Simple, I forgot what it's called, by Greg Crabtree. Simple Something by the Numbers. Let me see if I can quickly find it.
How many books have you read?
About 300. But I only have about 50 that I really need to read again over and over and over. Simple Numbers, Straight Talk, Big Profits. 4 Keys to Unlock Your Business. Great book. That'll answer your question. What's your name? Yangi?
Yeah, Raskin.
Yangi Raskin. So this is the book that would answer that question. Simple Numbers, Straight Talk, Big Profits. I know it's a weird title. That's why I couldn't remember. By Greg Crabtree. Big Profits. So listen, this is one book that I keep on my shelf and I give to people when they're like, things like that. But there's a book called The Goal. Great, amazing book. One of the best books. It's a story about a manufacturing plant. And it's like a consultant going in there trying to fix the whole thing. An amazing, there's so many really, really great books. And often we buy books, but we don't read them. I would rather you study one book than buy 20 books and not read it at all. Study a book, like even Think and Grow Rich. It's a book you have to study. It's not something that you could just read once and be like, oh, I read that book. You didn't read it if you read it once. You got to really go through it and get all the principles and apply them to your life. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If I ask you what they are, most people have no idea what they are, even if they read the book 3 or 4 times, because it's something you really have to study, and memorize, and apply to your life. And if you can apply those things to your life changes. And it's something I had to learn too, because I would buy books, read the first few pages, and I'm like, oh, I got the book, yeah. And I didn't really read it. Same thing with everything else, right? Halacha, Torah, all this other stuff. If we don't immerse ourselves in it, we're never really going to get the benefits of it. Siddhis, mikvah. You don't get the benefit unless you immerse in it. Right? Am I right? You got to immerse all the way. You got to have bittul. You got to go all the way into the ocean. Don't drink it. It's salty. The water's salty in the ocean. I went to the Atlantic Ocean. I went to the mikvah in the ocean. My mother said it's the best thing. My father's like, it's the best. The best type of mikvah is the Atlantic Ocean. I love it. Anyway, I want to thank all of you for being here today and for learning and for asking questions. So give yourselves a round of applause. You guys are awesome. I'm going to let you guys go to sleep. Oh, you want to do a selfie? Let's do a selfie. A maskless selfie. I'm definitely not posting this. I get such crap. And the 30,000 people that are online. Look at all my stuff. Everyone get in. A COVID selfie. I love it. All right, guys. Smile. Perfect. I will. I'll send it to you through WhatsApp right now. Guys, if you ever have any questions, feel free to hit me up. I'm on LinkedIn. Definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. But let me know that you're here. I've got 1,000 people waiting to connect with me on LinkedIn. So let me know that you're connected with me because we're here. Because I don't accept everyone.
All right.